Hey everyone, welcome back to Stacking Chairs. My name is Josh Palhamus, and today I just want to first off thank you guys all for listening so much to Stacking Chairs. We love getting the emails, meeting some of you in person, and just some of the kind words you guys have given to us. It's just been such a blessing to be a part of Stacking Chairs and the community that we're all part of here in youth ministry. Recently, I'm just going to give you guys a little bit of an update. Recently, Kyle has had a loss on his wife's side of the family. And so this week, we're not going to be able to do a new episode. So please keep Kyle and his family in your prayers. It's an unexpected loss. And as they go through this time, it's really difficult. And I know that prayer is definitely going to be a way that you can all support him and his family. With this in mind, we've decided to take a little bit of a break. We'll be back the first Wednesday of June. This will also give Kyle some time as he comes back from this unexpected time, give him some time to get his hands back around camp and just the other responsibilities and other things that come along with this difficult time of loss, as I'm sure many of you have experienced as well. And so we're going to come back the first Wednesday of June, and we'll start off with a new episode. But for this month, we'll be doing some revisited episodes. And so, just kind of go back with us and listen to some old episodes. It'll be a good time still. We can guarantee that at least. So again, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for being stackers. And Kyle asked me to share this with you all. And so please just continue praying for our good friend Kyle. And we'll see you guys all again with a new episode in June. Hey guys, what's up? It's Stacking Chairs, a youth ministry podcast all about serving youth ministry. Whether it be youth group or youth camp, whatever God has you serving in, that's what we're talking about. I'm one of your hosts, Josh Palhamus. I'm joined by my fellow host and good friend,
Kyle Gray. Josh, I am so excited about today's show.
Why is that?
This is a guy that I've wanted to have on this podcast for a long time. And every once in a while, we get a little too focused and serious. And I think some of the stuff that we talk about is focused and serious. But I am so excited about, ladies and gentlemen, having today on the podcast one of my good friends, Mr. Andy Danoon from Sunday Cool. Hey, Andy. How you doing?
Starting off strong. Thanks for having me, guys. I'm glad to be here.
Speaking about junior high ministry.
Perfect timing.
Now, Andy, you work for Sunday Cool.
I do.
They actually pay you.
They haven't as of yet, but they told me it's coming. The check is in the mail.
Listen, going on what, 5 years now?
Yeah, almost 5 years.
Okay.
Yep. It's
good.
It's fine. It's cool. I love volunteering.
Mount Dora is a large town, booming metropolis. So it probably just got lost in the.
Yeah, and they say it's the highest elevation. Elevation.
No,
in
Elevation
Florida.
Church is up in. Are they sending your check to another church?
That's actually why Stephen Furtick is so rich, because all of my checks are going to him, actually, to Elevation. Hey, and that's why.
Stephen listens to this. I don't know.
Hey, Stephen.
Yeah. So shout out to Steve
Stevie.
Furtick.
I call him Steve. We're close.
That's weird. I call him SF. Sometimes I call him San Francisco because.
Yeah.
Hey, but the biggest stacker in your remote location is.
My wife.
Your wife.
My wife. She likes your guys' podcast, and she'll probably be listening to this one. I'm going to make sure she gets it a nice big review.
Do you want to say something completely appropriate and well-timed?
And nice and kind.
Just right there. Just one sec. What's up? I'll see you when I get home.
If you're listening, he winked.
If you could hear that.
You can add a little ding.
There you go. That's right. You need to add that.
I can have that.
The problem then is now when we explain what it is,
Yeah, it's not as funny.
Hey, so why would you say watch, Josh? Because...
Well, you can check us out on our YouTube channel. Yeah.
That's how we watch you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Perfect. So, you can check it out. You can see what else Word of Life's doing around the world. We have our videos there.
Now, Andy, also for how many years you worked in youth ministry? Kind of give us a overview. How'd you end up where you are right now?
Yeah, well, I started going to youth group and like my sophomore year in high school. And then I decided I want to become a youth pastor in senior year. Then I went to Ozark Christian College. Then I became a youth pastor for about 7 years total in Joplin, Missouri.
Oh, wow.
And then I got a job offer to come down to Florida and start helping servicing youth pastors. So,
now, there's actually, I feel like this is the moment where Dr. Phil says, well, actually, let me tell you the real story. From what I understand, you kind of like were trying to get them to notice you. Like it was like a dream of yours.
Not even really. It was just one of those things where I always loved doing videos and I loved making people laugh. And so I did it in high school with I did a lot of like student body president, stuff like that. I always had like a video entrance and stuff. And
nice.
And I did videos for campaigns and stuff like that in high school. But then I did in youth group where I was like, oh, we could use this for fundraisers and for entertainment for like volunteer nights and stuff.
Barry Schmelly.
Barry Schmelly was born. And I did stand up as Barry Schmelly at opening for Mr. Jaron Meyer. So if you guys know who he is,
yeah, Jared watches. Hey,
yep,
it's good to see you.
He's there, right there with Steve, and then that my videos that were kind of promoting my youth group's fundraiser got shared with youth ministry groups. That's when Carl realized me. I never thought in a million years that Carl would even enjoy my stuff.
Which are we allowed to talk about the other side of Carl or the
twin?
The twin.
Yeah, the twin. Yeah, we could talk about that.
So the very first time I met Josh.
Yeah.
Carl's twin.
Oh, okay.
Literal identical twin.
Yeah.
It's like they're the same person, so he came over to be on our little video show, Riding in Style with Ethan and Kyle.
So funny.
And I've never met this guy. All I know is that my boss's wife was like, this guy, Carl, he's got to come over. Oh, you got to have Carl on the thing. Oh, yeah. Carl. And I'm like, okay.
Was that before like it had like really taken off, like the whole persona?
I think it was on.
It was in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Okay. It was 2019.
Think it was towards the really kicking off, but he had done a lot of stuff for a while. Yeah. So anyways, I see this rather muscular guy in a tank top, but oddly cut jean shorts.
Yeah. Covered in tattoos.
No glasses, covered in tattoos, walking up to the, and so I'm there and we're waiting for this guy named Carl. Mm-hmm. And I look over and
my buddy Alex described Josh as a heavily discounted Jason Momoa.
Yes!
And then Josh was extremely offended by the word heavily
discounted. Not just the Walmart, Yeah. But he's walking up and he kind of stands there and he's like, hey guys. And I'm like, yeah. Hey, how you doing? No,
do you know where Carl's at?
No southern accent, no nothing. He goes, hey guys, and we're like, hey, how's it going? And he said, cool. Hey, thanks for having me here. I said, oh, so it is you.
Oh, you're you.
Oh, you. I said, hey, how you doing, Kyle Gray? And he goes, hi, Josh. I said, wait, hold on. What? Your name's not even Carl?
The funny thing is, twin. I was coming. That was in July.
Yeah,
and I was coming in August.
Yeah,
and I remember him texting me about how he had to go to a camp. Mm-hmm. And he had to spend all day outside in a sweater and be in character, which was a nightmare for him socially because he's an introvert big time. And so he's like, I'm really looking forward to you being here and then being able to help me out with this kind of stuff.
Yeah. It's so funny that he built a persona that's like so ridiculous, so outgoing. Oh, he hates it.
But he never planned it to get that big. That's the thing. It was just like, hey, can we do marketing videos?
It was a marketing
and then it 100% went viral.
So then about 6 months later, about a year and a half later, they're coming over to film a rules video with us, which they did for a couple different years. Mm-hmm. Are we going to do them in the summer?
Oh, 100%. We have to figure out a new
So
bit,
they have allowed us to be like the camp that they filmed their camp rules at. The very first time they came over, for some reason we came over in the winter time. And I said, hey, will you guys be in our nativity scene? And they're like, yeah, why not?
What? It wasn't one of those things where it's like, hey, I know you're coming out like a week from now. Are you cool with being like, it was like day of pulling in. You guys cool with being like involved in this?
And it was like, and Josh thought, oh, it'll be like a live nativity, like we're standing on the side of the road. Like that's weird, but whatever. No, this is for one of our Christmas productions. He finds out as we're driving over, I pull him, drive him up in a golf cart. We get him, he gets in costume and I'm like, and he's joking about it like, oh, this is going to be great, but like whatever. And I'm like, okay, so we're going to walk out on the stage. And he's like, wait, what? It is the most petrified.
Every time he gets on a stage, he absolutely blacks out.
So you guys have built, let's transition to this thing then. Yeah. So you guys have built a persona around comedy and engaging with people, and yet you're working with a guy that is highly introverted and like is afraid when he gets out on stage. That may be the funniest part of it all for me.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where it was kind of hard to get used to and comprehend, but it makes sense because he's such a thinker and he's a director mindset where he's always thinking like he's an extreme visionary. I can't see what's happening tomorrow or 5 years from now.
Hand in front of your face.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so it's one of those things where I look at him and I trust his thought process a ton. And so But when you put yourself out there like that, obviously there's going to be opportunities where it's like, hey, you should come and do this in front of a live audience.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's the exact opposite of what he truly wants.
So funny.
That's
which is a great thing to have in a person who's becoming a micro celebrity.
Yeah.
Sure.
So Andy is going to be our Pursue Camp weekend speaker for this weekend. And last week I drove out to Sunday Cool, went to go hang out with Andy and Josh and potentially be on their podcast. You know, I was going to kind of weasel my way in. You know, they didn't invite. I was like, hey guys, I'm coming out here.
Hey, wow.
By the way, Mr. Weasel, hey, how you doing? Because he watches too. No, and Andy's like, well, I'm going to a conference
here in Chattanooga
that Josh isn't going to. But
what was the conference?
It's Conclave. Yeah, Southern Baptist. Yeah.
And so, but I said to Josh at the end, we went out for lunch, we had a great time. And I said, hey, Josh, I know you're trying to get into speaking a little bit.
He told me about this yesterday.
I said, hey, I would love to. I know Andy's coming out to be our weekend speaker. I said, Josh, I want to be that friend that kind of pushes you out of your comfort zone. Why don't we figure out a time that you can come over and speak in chapel and kind of get that under your feet? Because I would love to next year or like in 2 years, have you be one of our weekend speakers. And he goes, okay, when you said that, my stomach just dropped and I got
Dude, you had us come out here and do an interview during camp one time in the summer. And you gave us basically a 90-day notice. And every single day Josh brought it up. I do not want to go to that thing. And I was like, dude, it's 3 months away. It's 2 months away. It's a month. Yeah. It drove him crazy. I'm telling you, it's
tried to do better than the nativity.
I think you have to do the nativity scene style instead and just say, hey, guess what?
Hey, just so you know, hey, we're just going to go out here and then the crowd goes wild. So, okay. So talk to us. Because here's the deal. Comedy and humor is very, not only divisive at times, but it's very diverse. What somebody finds funny, what somebody doesn't find funny. How have you used, because this to me, I don't know if it's just because I get your humor or I appreciate your humor. How have you kind of crafted that? And why do you think that is an important part of ministry?
Well, I think it's an emotion, obviously, and God gives us all emotions. And it took me a long time to realize that just because we feel a certain emotion doesn't mean it's a necessary good or bad thing. It's much like anger. You know, they say like as a kid, like don't be angry, calm down. It's like, no, anger is a completely fine emotion to have. It's just, how do we go about it? How do we go about expressing it? And it's the same thing with humor and laughter and joy. And so that's one of the things that I kind of looked at, and I was like, I didn't want to be, because there'd be some times where I'd make jokes as a kid and people would be like, that's inappropriate. That's too much. And it's like, but it's funny though, right? And it's like, well, it's too soon or whatever. And so there's understanding, there's such a art, and that is such a pretentious word for it, but there's an art to understanding, and maybe it's just a lifetime skill you use. It's like a muscle almost, but realizing that not only does laughter actually physically help us, you know, there's like science that goes behind it for heart health, for mental health, all these things. But it's the one thing that can really truly bring somebody together. They always say the laughter is the best medicine. And I truly believe that's such a thing that everyone can relate to, everyone that falls in love with a good laugh. And if you can laugh, it breaks things up. I remember there was a time where I had a kid in youth ministry in Joplin. I was really, really close with his dad kind of was out of his life for a while. So he kind of clung on to me and we really started connecting. We just had a really great relationship. And then when I moved, it was really tough, but we stayed in contact. And one day he FaceTimes me and he had gotten in a very, very serious wreck. Unfortunately, there was a fatality, and it was a lot of guilt and a lot of stress and a lot of hurt on his part. Yeah. And he FaceTimes me in the hospital and his face is swollen and he's got stitches all over his face. And I'm like thinking, and I'm shocked, and I'm thinking, why is he, like, I thought in my mind, I was like, why is he calling me right now? Like, he's FaceTiming. It's not just a call. It's not his mom. And I realized with the way he was talking, he asked me, how do I look? And then I was like, he wants me to make him laugh. Yeah. He just wants that. Like, and so he told me, he's like, I have like 38 stitches in my head. And I said, well, that's what you get for snitching. And then he laughed so hard it almost busted up. Yeah, there's like the nurse like, you cannot laugh right now. And so it's just one of those things where it's like, that was a reminder of like, I'm not a very well-spoken guy. I was a college dropout, but that's a gift. I think if you're able to make someone laugh, and everyone's capable of it. I think we just need to not be afraid of it. And we need to understand that there's a time and a place, but also I think joy and laughter is such they tie in together so well.
Well, it being an opportunity to minister, do you find that when you aren't intentionally spending time in the Word or spending time like, grounding yourself and walking with the Lord, do you find that your humor becomes a distraction from your message? Or do you think that I kind of like, because we can all fake stuff, you know what I mean? I'm just curious.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a fine line where, just like every calling, every emotion, if it's not grounded first in Scripture, if it's not grounded in your relationship with God, then everything else is in vain. It's like you could be doing something, but it's kind of like John 15, where you can't do anything apart from me.
Right.
So it's like, sure, you made that person laugh, but it's like, did you plant a seed though? Yeah. Did you? Yeah. Like, did you really? And that's something that. Just like laughter, just like anything, I think unless it's grounded in the foundation that is Christ, you're working real hard, you're running on a treadmill, but you're not getting anywhere.
Yeah. Well, and that's where like you've got these different guys that will, and girls, but people that come in, and I haven't heard this term in a while, but you remember the term, the shotgun preacher. I'm saying something to get a reaction. Yeah. And a lot of times I would listen to guys that would do that through the avenue of humor. And so sometimes it can actually muddy the message. Mm-hmm. So how do you find that balance? Do you think obviously you think it's a balance, but how have you found to kind of use it, but understand that obviously God's word doesn't need it, but.
Yeah. I've always used it as a great, that's what we use our videos for. It's kind of seeing like, hey, this is not your teaching. Mm-hmm. This is not going to have a theological point that's going to really make your kids go, wow, this is really incredible. And that's why we don't do it. Like, God has called people to make that type of content, and that's not us. But that's what the whole point of the satire is. It's making a point in a comedic way. Yeah. And so if we can open the conversation, we can ease the tension with a little bit of laughter or a little bit of like, even if the kids don't laugh, even if it's cringy, it doesn't matter. Yeah. It's opening the door for the youth pastor then to come in and hopefully do the job that they need to do. And so that's why we kind of use ourselves that's the way we are able to serve youth pastors is hopefully give them a point of relevancy, give them a point of just conversation with kids and open them up to just be a little more comfortable.
So I got to ask this question because we've all been there. Yeah. Tell us about a time that you said something or you gave a joke and you were like, this is going to kill. And it just was silent.
Oh man.
What do you do?
He's never had that happen.
Yeah. Andy's like, I'm always fine.
That's the thing. Those moments I would define as traumatic. And so my brain is saying trauma, don't remember this. And so I can't think of anything right now, but I do remember there was a time where, I said, do you think this? Do you think do you think God doesn't, care about this? And this was like, and I said, you're dang right. And apparently I was probably just not just enticing as much as, so they're probably all kind of half asleep. And so when I said, apparently I slurred my word a little bit and I said, dang right. And they heard the other D word. So everyone looked at me, looked up and what? I heard audible, and it took me out of my rhythm completely. And so I was just like, okay, I completely messed up. And so then the next week it was a debate. I was like, did I actually say it or did I not? And we played it back. They were like, we're going to play it back next week. Yeah. And we played it back and, the editor, he purposely put a censor beep in front of it and it just made it sound like
that's funny.
Beep, right.
Yeah. You didn't double down and just curse the rest of the time.
I should have. Yeah, I really should have.
Seems like, you know what? I'm already in
Apparently
here.
That's all you guys want to hear.
Yeah. That's what gets you paying attention? Well, then you bet. Okay, so honestly, though, I remember there was a guy that used to work for Word of Life, and he would say, let me give you 3 statistics. Number 1, this many people every day die and go to hell. Number 2, most of you in here don't give a, and he swore.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
And then he said, and the third statistic is more of you are more concerned with the second statement I said than the first statement I said. Well, the problem was, number 1, using that word caught people's attention and was like, probably shouldn't use that word, but damnation is in the Bible. And so, you know,
I could have gone down all fours and just did my best moose impression.
Yeah.
And then they're like, you guys are going to remember that moose impression more than what I just told you. It's like,
really.
you could have said anything.
Yeah. You pull out a machete and just start like hacking at the stage, and they're just like, you're going to remember this more than the Bible verse. Like,
there was another guy who got up like years later hearing this guy say it over and over and over, and he decided that's not enough. And so he was like, there are 3 statistics. Number 1, this may most of you, number 2, most of you in here don't give up. Beep, 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 beep.
Oh,
the third statistic, most of you are more concerned. And everybody's like, well, yeah,
of course.
You just dropped some really vulgar words.
And you remember too, because you're not going to have a job after that.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you're kind of missing the point there.
Now that's comedy.
Yeah.
But that is a good point though. In comedy, it's easy for us to, you know, you catch something and you just keep running with it. Oh, people thought this was funny. In the same way that shock value will help aid, we think, oh, people are laughing. You keep running with it.
Well, so and let me ask you this, because obviously the key to comedy is
leave them one up more.
Timing.
Yes.
Oh, darn it.
Timing.
Comedy comes in threes.
But so you guys walk into a situation. Obviously, you're preparing to the best of your abilities. I've listened to you guys. I've listened to you guys walk through. I've actually been on video shoots where you guys are like, no, let's change this, let's change that. But then you have things, and we asked you if we could bring this up, like the Gen Z Bible.
Yeah.
That you created. You guys put a lot of time and effort and heart into it. And let me say, listen, if you guys know Andy DeNoon, Josh Hooper, Steve Hooper, Austin Warren, those guys over at Sunday Cool, they are godly men of the word. Mm-hmm. They do you guys actually do a Bible study together. You guys have gone through some different books and gone through some different things.
Last year we had a home church where we met every Sunday, and we just dove through books of the Bible. And
I'll talk to Josh, and Josh, like his knowledge of the word, I'm like, dude, this is really, really cool for a guy that's not his profession. That's not his. But then you launch this Gen Z Bible in an attempt to reach
Gen Z Bible translation.
Excuse me, the Gen Z Bible translation. So Reader's Digest version, walk us through what happened and how did you respond to that? I'm sorry,
I was going to say, let's preface real quick. If you don't know what Sunday Cool is, I don't think we ever really said what Sunday Cool is.
Hey, Josh, can now a word from our sponsor.
Sunday Cool. Sunday Cool, in a nutshell. Oh, look at me, I'm in a nutshell. Awesome powers. It's an apparel company outside of Orlando, Florida, and we do a lot of stuff just servicing churches, whether it's anything apparel needs, promo items, anything like that. But what me and Josh and Andrew do,
Josh and I. No.
And we're in the content department. We just create videos and stuff like that. And so one day we're at Conclave in 2020 or 2021.
Well,
I can't remember.
2020 should have been your first.
Yeah, exactly. We should have seen it coming. And they sit down with us. Lifeway sits down with us. They say, "Hey, you have a really good hold on Gen Z's and entertainment right now. We would love for you to be able to just come and make a Devo." And so we're like, "Oh, well, let's make our video series of the Gen Z translation was really popular. Let's just make that a Devo."
Now, at the time, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe there was some discussion about doing a whole year.
I don't know about that. I think we decided on just kind of like a quick 30-day devotional is something we could handle.
Okay.
And so we kind of thought about it and we said, why not? We never thought about doing it. We only did it because we were approached about it. And so we spent, me and Josh spent 3 months basically meeting every day, talking about it, praying about it, writing it all out. And then Lifeway helped us create it, the artwork and everything like that. Mm-hmm. Then we get it. We get a date to drop it.
Now, what did you do?
Yeah, so we had a 30 days, and so it was focused on the
relevancy,
just the reverence of God, the application of God's scripture, and so we broke that down per one per day, a devotion per day, and so we took a scripture and just one verse, and we translated in a made-up Gen Z language.
Now you put the actual verse.
Yes, we put the verse, and then we put the made-up translation, which were not real words.
Yeah. Right. Well, the thing I was more offended about was that you used NASB and not ESV on the real translation.
No, let's be honest. It's because he didn't put it in the King James version.
I was going to say
1611.
KJV.
That's what really got people mad. Yeah,
what What was the other version actually?
ESV, right?
Yeah,
was it ESV?
ESV.
Okay.
And so it was. We broke it down, and then we had a devotional, and then a breakdown. And once again, we had them write out the verse in the actual translation that they were reading. And so we put the Bible first, and the only reason that it was comedic is because one, it's being written by internet comedians.
Yeah.
And so that was something that we kind of looked at, and we broke down each day, and we made up a bunch of words that were Gen Z slang that we didn't like. It made no sense, whatever.
Yeah.
And then when we dropped it, everyone was loving it. It got sold out in the first day. We had a ton of copies going out. And then we were on a conference. Then later on, Matt Walsh finds out about this, doesn't read it, finds just bits and pieces and says, hey, these people at Sunday Cool and Lifeway are translating the whole Bible in Gen Z lingo. They were saying we were dropping a Gen Z translation of the Bible, the whole Bible.
As you should.
Just which is, honestly, Matt, great idea.
Yeah.
Matt, we know you're watching.
That's kind of lit, fam.
Yeah. So fresh and so clean. I mean, sorry.
And so it went viral on Twitter that day, and then
there were some ladies that kind of from what I understand, there were a couple, like it wasn't okay, correct me if I'm wrong. It wasn't a massive group of people that were against you. No. It was just a couple people
that were loud
over tweeting.
Well, that's the internet in general. That's, I mean, you just described Reddit and Twitter in a nutshell.
Yeah. So exactly. So within 2 hours of Matt Walsh's tweet going out, Lifeway was like, hey, we're not printing these anymore. And they didn't talk to us at all. They didn't call us. And it was like,
wow,
very cool. But we're good with Lifeway now. We love the guys at Lifeway. It was not the Lifeway.
By the way, shout out to Lifeway, because I know you guys watch and listen.
The Lifeway student ministry people are dope. They're the best. We love them so much. It's the higher ups that they just don't want to offend anybody. I get it. But let's keep selling the Jesus calling book.
So here's what I've noticed from there. Number one, you guys have not done another Gen Z translation video at all.
Yeah.
No, but
oh yeah, the videos. Yeah. Do
you think that just because it kind of, that niche kind of died out, or you just moving on? Or?
Somewhat. It's also good. We're going to think about doing it, but it was one of those things where we wanted to bring an actual Gen Z kid in. When we have one, Austin's daughter, actually, Jade, she's hilarious and very, very funny. And we're thinking about having her come in and treat Brock, who's the Gen Z person, treat him like a boomer.
Yeah.
And so we can kind of transition out that way. And I feel like one day we could probably get back to it, but I think it would definitely, Josh struck gold whenever because that was before my time when I came on. He did that Gen Z translations, and it absolutely killed. And it was a genius idea.
Nice.
Yeah. So
now I gave you a compliment one day while you were here. I'm sure other people do.
Give compliments or
fuck, listen, it's kind of
please just comment below a compliment about me. I have really low self-esteem. Thank you.
Especially if you're watching, just close your eyes, listen to his voice.
Yeah, close your eyes.
There's gonna be no comment from my wife. She's gonna be like, nah.
Even if there is, I'm gonna delete it so you don't see it.
But you're incredibly creative. Josh is incredibly creative.
Josh Hooper, not me.
No, yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I didn't want anybody to be confused.
Cal's like, no, definitely not this one.
Yeah, not this one.
Timing. But how do you take two funny guys and put them in the same room? And do you find yourselves competing for humor, or do both of you have enough of a double down dose of humility that just goes, you know what? It's a joke. It's the bits joke. It's not my joke. Like, how do you process that?
I think that's something that I love finding. When you find a funny person that just gets you, and that's what Josh is. It's one of those things we both enjoy, just laughing. So if whoever ends up with the biggest laugh we want to just champion that person and let them have that joke, because it's all about just having fun for me. That's a huge part for me. I tell Josh that all the time. It's like, as long as I'm having fun, like I just want to continue to have fun. I've, have just an amazing opportunity just to be able to make silly videos like this and laugh all the time. So there are times where he'll say a joke and then I'll say it louder, or vice versa. Yeah. And he'll look at me and just stare, but
it's like, seriously?
Yeah. It reminds me of like the great comedic duos that we do see, like, Bob and Larry, from VeggieTales, and things like that.
Which, I've never seen. I've never seen one episode of VeggieTales.
Really?
No.
Silly Songs with Larry feels like...
which I have heard the cheeseburger one, and that one is super, super catchy.
I was kind of kidding, but now I feel like I'm actually kind of annoyed you don't know.
I don't know if I respect you more or less.
Yeah, I don't know.
Less.
No,
I think it's a lot of it.
I don't know. I don't know.
Phil Vischer,
Okay.
defined my childhood.
And the thing is, I wrote a video that's called "How VeggieTales Was Made" that got tweeted out by Phil Vischer.
Yeah,
and we created that, and so that's even funnier. That I've never even seen anything.
I don't know. But I'm curious. How does it feel to like? I've never had something go viral. I had like a video on TikTok do like 100,000 views or something like that. Like, never been viral on anything. How does it feel to like do content and then you have a general audience and then all of a sudden something will just launch all the way up? You'll get Phil Vischer retweeting a video about his like thing that he made. Yeah. Like, that's such a cool idea.
Or even before that, Matt Walsh talking.
Matt Walsh said that? Wait, Andy, let me finish. Let me tell you what he said.
Oh my goodness, we did it. No, but what's that like?
I really wanted to take his tweet and figure out how we can word it where it's like he's praising us somehow, but we couldn't figure it out. But we don't know how it works. We actually figured out the algorithm kind of almost for our podcast, kind of like what our audience likes and what other like just people like. But it's always one of those things you really want something to go viral, and when it does, you're like, oh man. But then I know it sounds cheesy. It's almost like somebody saying like, having $1 million, not it's all cracked up to be. It's like, yeah, it must be easy for you to say, but it's one of those things that go viral. It's like, you think it's crazy, but it's like, nothing changes. Yeah, your life's still the same. It's like everything's completely fine. And so that makes you realize, okay, let's make stuff that we think is funny, that we enjoy making, and that our fans love. And so that's really nice to find whenever you find people that truly enjoy the work that you're doing. That's what makes it worth it.
Do you ever find yourself chasing the next thing that goes viral? Or have you kind of been able to get to this place of going, you know what? It's awesome that we got to do some certain things that went kind of viral, but we're not going to be in this place of chasing the bigger, better, or the next video. Like that's got to be kind of hard.
Yeah, and it is. That's what we've kind of fell into, where it's like, we're just going to celebrate those milestones. We just had 100K on YouTube on Sunday Cool subscribers.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
It's just like, that was such a huge feat. And it wasn't like as exciting as in like, oh man, what's going to happen next? It was like, this is dope. This is so cool that God's allowed this to happen, and that enough people see our stuff and like it enough to go out of their way to subscribe and watch it. And so that's kind of, it's just celebrating at that point. Yeah. It's just really kind of just being grateful.
So what do you think about, like, I mean, do you see it as like a responsibility or a burden to the fact that you have, because here's the thing, tons of people who don't honor God have hundreds of thousands, millions of subscribers. You guys are trying to honor the Lord with the way that you're doing this humor and the way that you guys are presenting the stuff you're doing. And now you have this responsibility of 100,000 people are watching. Do you feel that weight, or is it more of just like, hey, we live our lives like this anyway?
Yeah, I think there is a lot more weight now. I don't necessarily feel it as a anxious kind of way, but it's one of those things where, but that's the thing. I trust Josh. I trust our team. I trust Sunday Cool. And Josh has a very good idea of, hey, like, we probably shouldn't do this. There's been videos where we've filmed, we've edited, it's been published, almost published, and we say, nope, we can't do it.
That's tough. There have been a few times. This has been really, really cool, where Josh or Andy will send me a video and go, hey, do you think this is too far?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, I love the fact that I know they're asking people in ministry. They're asking because they want to make sure we're putting stuff out that's funny, but we're doing it in a way that we aren't offending. Yeah. We're not kind of living this like,
I have no problem with offending because Jesus offends everyone all the time.
But it's truth.
But it's one of those things. Is this irreverent? Right. Is this disrespectful to God's word? Is this making fun of God and Jesus himself?
Yeah.
Right.
But there are other times where it's like, this button needs to be pushed.
Right.
And I'm fine with that. As long as if they truly know our heart and the context, then it's like, we're clean. We're good.
So access that youth pastor's heart that you've got. I know most of our audience outside of the wonderful Kelsey Denoon, are youth pastors, children's pastors, ministry leaders. Yeah. What would be your word of encouragement to them who are like, man, I want to be funny, is the importance of it. You talked about, you didn't use this terminology, but it tears down walls to give you that opportunity to minister. What word of encouragement would you give to them on?
The biggest thing is when I started really coming into my own writing and feeling confident in my writing and my jokes and stuff, it's simply because I allowed myself to just be myself and trust my what I believe that God's calling me to do, my personality and things like that. And so I see a lot of people who are like, man, I wish I could be funny like that. It's like, no, you're funny. You're funny. Everyone's funny. but it just has to be your funny. And so as long as you're doing stuff that's going to make you laugh, that's because everyone's like, hey, what can you get pointers for like people who are trying to make videos just like you guys? Like, as long as you think it's funny, other people will find it funny.
Yeah.
It may take a while to find that audience,
right?
But that's fine.
Yeah.
And so when you're teaching to kids or you're making, you're communicating with teenagers, it's just, you have to be yourself. Don't try to, like those youth pastors that really try to have that Gen Z humor. It's like, no, like there's nothing wrong with just being who you are and just accept that and continue to grow, continue to learn about it. There's always, it's a muscle that always needs to be worked.
I have a confession then. I grittied the other day at youth
just to get him to.
Well, they said,
"Hey guys, look what I can do."
Well, no, they taught us how to gritty. Me and Matt. I work with a youth pastor.
That's great. Yeah.
And I did it, and then I practiced throughout the week, so that way the following week.
I love that. Imagine Josh is in his house practicing.
I really was, but I was. I was like, 1, 2, 3. No, so we were playing a game, and right in the middle, one of the guys was like recording the game. We played this. Oh, it's just really fun. It's called Blind Samurai. You blindfold someone, they have pool noodles, and everybody's trying to like get around the room without getting hit. And so
that's
like,
funny.
So right in the middle of it, one of the kids was videoing and he's like, gritty on him. And so I'm like grittying in the middle as they're like swinging pool noodles and stuff. And then I had to dive out of the way. So that was a ton of fun. But
they're like, did you really practice all week? Because it doesn't.
Yeah. No, it's bad. I mean, I'm not good at grittying.
Josh, that looked more like the Dougie than the gritty.
The Dougie was out in that was like 2010.
Exactly. That's your problem. And that's why.
That's when I was in high school and when you were married with a couple kids already.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Okay. Hey, couple rapid fire questions. Number one, can you give us the truth? Who is taller, you or Josh?
Oh, of course, me by at least an inch and a half.
Okay.
Wow,
why
not
is
even
he
joking.
Why is he so obsessed with measuring up to you?
I don't know. You have to ask him. It's just one of those things. I don't know if he's intimidated. I don't know if the beard's a lot. I don't know if people just find me funnier or better looking.
Okay.
Which I get. I get. I'm not saying, but I get.
Yeah.
Other people have said it.
Who would we invite on this podcast?
Yeah.
Like, I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. You probably have invited him. He's like, no, that's around other people.
Question number two, who would win in a fight between you and Josh?
Probably Josh, because he's got that new dad strength. I have dad strength, but I've been in the game for about 7 years. He's got new dad strength. And I feel like that's more of a primal strength whenever your baby's like a brand new newborn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question number three.
Yeah.
Whose beard is better, yours or Josh's? And I noticed that he trimmed his back. Is that because he feels like his beard is inferior to yours?
I think, you know how in the Bible they tore their beard out, for, when they're grieving and stuff,
Okay.
I feel like that's kind of it. Every time he looks at me, he feels like he has to yank it out a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, obviously mine's better.
Yeah.
I think he would agree with that.
Okay.
He's a good friend. He enjoys looking at
What
my beard,
do you do? Do you like actually like real question here?
I sometimes shampoo it, but most of the time I just shake it like a dog, dude.
Wow.
Not like the beard butter or anything like that?
No beard butter. I actually use real butter. I used to do a margarine, but now I'm full on.
You're close to Land O'Lakes. That's why, right?
Land O'Lakes. Yeah.
I can't believe it's not butter.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Okay.
Mine comes in patchy here, and so I kind of just
It's
give up.
because you got to smear it all over your face.
Well, but I kind of have like.
Where do
this
you want it to
nasty,
grow,
like,
Josh?
Be
chin
careful
strap.
because the fat gets into the body.
Yeah.
And it leads to
Yeah.
other things, other problems.
Weight gain.
Last question.
Didn't have to say it. I was just kind of like
controversial question. Controversial question.
Yeah.
Who has better looking kids? You or Josh?
Man, that's
Can you do
tough. Well, it's obviously my kids.
Yeah,
it's obviously my
yeah.
kids. Which my oldest just lost her front tooth for the first time. So
wow.
She's got a little bit of a goofy smile. But she's still cute. But they're prettier kids. But he has the cuter kids because they're younger. And they're chubbier.
Do you think people dote on his kids a little bit more just because they're babies and it's babies?
Of course. After a certain age, they're just little tiny adults at one point. No one cares.
How many kids do you guys each have? I actually don't know.
We both have two girls.
Well, 2 girls.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you feel like he's trying to like copy you? I mean, you had 2 girrs first, and now he's like,
maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know.
true.
I don't know how much control he has over it. But it could be. He's heading in the right direction.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay.
I mean, he's not trying to copy me in other ways. He has long hair.
Oh
yeah, that's true. He does have.
But there are rumors that it's a wig.
What?
Yes, there are a lot of rumors.
So not only are the glasses fake.
Yep.
Not only does he not have as much pudge as I originally thought in those massive Cool Carl sweaters, his hair may be fake too.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what you find
Has he
out
ever
about the
done
tattoos.
dreads?
Wow.
Oh, the tattoos are fake too.
He actually did have dreads back in the high school days.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So I found a couple old pictures of Josh with like shorter hair, and I'm like, this is just so funny. It's so different.
Yeah.
Or there's pictures.
It kind of makes
Andy
me mad
with hair.
It kind of makes me mad because he's good looking with short hair or long hair, and me, if you cut my beard off.
You're Jason Statham.
No. I look like a scary toddler that broke out of like a kid's mental hospital.
You actually did that. You dressed up in a diaper.
Tell us about that, because that kind of went viral.
That did go viral.
Barstool Sports.
It's been everywhere,
dude. That's over probably hundreds of millions of views at this point.
Yeah, that is actually
it's
super viral.
Josh was having a baby, and it was their first one, and it was a girl. They didn't know that at the time. So
Josh had the baby.
Josh was having the baby.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. That's why it was such big news. It was a big story.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so he's like, we got to come up with something big. Let's do something that goes viral. And he came up with the ideas like, why don't we just make you just a big baby? And I was like, we could paint myself like whole. And so he had no idea. So we got the trailer.
That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah.
Did they know?
They did not know at all. They
hilarious.
They didn't know that I was going to be doing literally every inch of my body. My wife was getting like my backside and everything like that, painting me pink. My kids walk in and I'm like, kids, get out. It's just one of those things where it's like, they're going to have to, there's so many things they're going to have to describe to their therapist.
It's like a Nacho Libre thing. Sometimes
you
you paint yourself in your room. It's for fun.
I tell my kids all the time, we're not putting away for college. We're putting away for counseling.
Exactly. Yeah. And so they put me in the back of a horse trailer, and I had to paint myself and then get in the horse trailer with a bunch of power tools.
Yeah.
And it was completely dark. And I was like, this is how I die. A Florida man.
Later on Dateline tonight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Covered in pink, and there's like, I don't know where the pink and blood and all this starts. It's like,
And
would
that's
be
what
the
led
weirdest.
Matt Walsh to then do the What is a Woman, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Wow.
We were going to do a bit where he was going to be like, Matt Walsh literally just did not know what a woman was. And
Josh just wrote down the time.
I wrote the time just in case I have to cut that. I'll decide later. That's what I do. I write down times where I'm just.
It's a documentary. It's
the
fine.
other thing that I know that went viral with you, or viral-esque with you, was the TikTok of your daughter scaring you.
Oh yeah. Which is funny because I was using an audio that wasn't mine. It was an audio that was being used. Mine just went more viral than the other ones, and so people think that was my actual scream.
So my problem is, I watch stuff like that, and the amount of people that were like, "Oh, this is real." I'm like, why was he recording it?
Yeah, I know. But
Hey guys, today I'm going to be washing my dishes.
Yeah.
What is it? The LeBrant family, like that kind of stuff. They'll like put up.
yeah.
They'll put
Okay,
up
guys,
phones and like,
you're hearing the
I'm just
podcast.
hanging out in the kitchen. All of a sudden, my daughter scares me. Like it's so out of the blue. Like,
Yeah, this is crazy. I can't
recording.
believe I have my like ring light on in the bathroom. This is
exactly.
nuts.
My favorite are the people who are like, okay, we're gonna hide, we're gonna scare. Oh, he is, and they walk in the room and they're like looking over here.
Have you ever seen that one video where the lady comes into the door and she just like hits her because she starts saying happy birthday? Yeah.
I don't know what video you're talking about, but I feel like I've heard about it before.
I'll show it to you.
Timing.
I'm going to use that a lot. It's a good timing joke about timing.
It is. Hey, Andy, Josh, we could go on and on and on.
Yeah, we should. We should just make this a two-parter.
But I think, well, could we?
No.
But I think it's time that we go to
Timing.
small group.
There we go.
Josh, small group is what?
It's a time where we just talk about, the good things, the bad things in ministry, and just kind of hang out. It's a small group,
Which I feel like we've kind of been doing this whole entire time.
Especially the last 10 minutes or so. We were just, we're having a good time.
Listen,
so.
this is fun.
Yeah, but that's
This is
okay.
fun.
I'm
Well,
kind of for it.
that's why you just don't ever lay down the train tracks.
Exactly.
Let me actually say something that
It's like
I've
US.
said all the time, guys. This is why you should never do planning meetings. Don't do them. They don't work.
Leadership 101, never plan.
Well, so we'll take this time and we want to hear about, you talked about Sunday Cool in your ministry. Just, give us a little bit of plug. Tell us about what you're doing in ministry right now. And
specifically, please feel free to plug Ninjas Are Butterflies.
I wanted to hear about the
Absolutely,
podcast.
Well, I volunteer at a church, Journey Christian Church in Lake County, and love the youth pastors there and the teens there. But yes, we are doing a podcast called Ninjas Are Butterflies. Use Spotify, Apple, YouTube and Spotify because you can watch it on video. It's a really physical comedy podcast, which is really fun, and we have a lot of big blast with that. And also Josh's wife Lily's on there, and she's great, and Andrew as well.
I could be honest with you, maybe my favorite character on the podcast.
That's what everyone says. That's
Character?
literally
except for
what everyone
that one
says.
lady. Except for that one lady.
Yeah, exactly. Some people just, they're just like, why is a random girl holding a baby on the podcast? But Lily's great. And we have a lot of fun with that podcast. But if you're not following us on Sunday Cool on all accounts and Cool Carl, we're having a lot of fun. We're doing a lot of new things this year.
Also repping, they designed our sweatshirts here, all the t-shirts.
You got to check out Sunday Cool if you need any custom apparel. Yeah. We have super soft shirts. with super soft ink, water-based, no feel. It's the best.
Yeah. Our church actually got shirts from you guys, and we had shirts from before, and everybody, like they actually were giving out the old shirts, and nobody was taking them because the new shirts are the super soft.
Right.
And they're so comfortable. And they're so
I'm gonna go and say it. I may get in trouble for this. Anyone who's listening and you put an order in, you tell them you heard us on the Stacking Chairs podcast, 10% off your order.
Wow.
For life.
Oh no. Yeah. But I'm assuming that would be fine.
I'll verify with you before we post this, and then I can just cut that out. Worst case.
Oh no, it's fine.
No, listen, leave it.
Okay.
You know what? His word is good.
I have no problem.
So
bringing business.
I met the CEO. Austin is the CEO, CFO,
CFO, I think. Yeah.
Cool.
Something. I don't know.
I met him at SLU, and I remember we were going through some stuff with our t-shirt companies that we have worked with in the past, and I remember meeting this guy, and he starts talking to me about, hey, listen, we want to minister to you guys. Hey, I didn't realize he was who he was.
Yeah.
He said, hey, show me some of the problems he had. I showed him. He goes, if we ever messed up like this, we would make it right.
Yeah.
And I said, all right, let's try it. That first order, the CEO and the owner of the company drove the shirts out and said, check them, open any box, whatever.
Yeah.
If there was anyone off. So the other day we ordered these shirts, our Winter Camp World Tour shirts for us.
Very cool
Pursuit
shirts.
Camp,
Very cool shirts.
Snow Camp and Intersect.
Yeah.
And there's a shirt that my secretary put on, and the whole arm is ripped. And she goes, oh no. And I said, no, that's not no, because I know all we have to do is call Sunday Cool.
Yeah.
They'll print us one for free.
Yeah, they'll make it right.
Because they make it right.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, listen, you go with a company that not only has good product, but has awesome customer service.
Yeah.
And that's
I don't endorse something
no-brainer.
unless I'm paid to, and I'll tell you, Sunday Cool is great. So, but they didn't pay me to say this, so thank you. Yeah. It's super off the top of my head.
Only 5. Never mind.
No, listen, I love
Sunday
this.
Cool's great. We love the chance to be able to serve churches and just be remarkable in every way possible. And so we just, if you have any questions, go to sundaycool.com.
Okay, last question. You have 3 essentially.
Go to sundaycool.com, you just said, if you have any more questions.
I'm so sorry. I do think it's funny that you interact with old Southern Carl on the answering machine that is still the
We
same.
just recorded some new ones, brand new voicemails, and we have on hold. Okay, I have to tell you, it's Carl saying, press 1 for sales, press 2 for customer experience, and then press 3 for a surprise. And it used to be where it just farts, goes, and then they would just cut the call, and then it would just end. But we've
The call ending is the best part of that.
But they said we need a new surprise, and so we have Carl giving it an intro to the greatest movie of all time. He's like, here's a section of dialogue from the greatest movie of all time, featuring Kirk Cameron, Fireproof, and it's 3 minutes of the climax of the Fireproof with his dad, and it's just Kirk Cameron and his dad crying and hugging each other in a cemetery.
So
it's just so great.
Is he reading the what happened like in the background, like weeping ensues?
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, is it him reading it, or is it
no. It's the actual audio. You hear you have the soundtrack and everything, and there's no context.
That's awesome.
It's phenomenal.
That's awesome. So I called the other day because I was trying to reach Jared, the new guy over there, and I pressed the wrong button, and silly, that does it. I didn't say it. Okay, let me start all over again. And I thought,
I love that.
I'm going to try it again. I pressed it again. I was like, that was my favorite part.
You guys do such a great job.
There's sundaycool.com, there's Cool Carl, and there's Ninjas Are Butterflies.
Yes.
Very quickly as we end, that's strange that you guys have 3 separate things and yet they all intertwine. Why 3 instead of just kind of leaving it as 1 and all going through Sunday Cool?
I think because all 3 have a completely different audience, where Sunday Cool is the umbrella. Everyone that follows every one of those accounts loves Sunday Cool. Yeah. But there's people that are followed Ninjas or Butterflies that would have never heard of Sunday Cool, or may never even buy apparel at all, and like for their group or event, because they're just a casual listener that's on TikTok that's working a normal everyday job. And so it's cool to see that we have a big diversity of audience and people, because we know people that listen to our podcast we have no joke, we have 5th graders that absolutely are devoted to our podcast, and I meet 60-year-old women that go to our conferences and say, oh my goodness, the dolphin bit in your last episode was absolutely hilarious. And so it's just really, really neat.
That was his Karen character.
Now Karen talks like this. She's a lot more
okay, Bale. Now, there's also a story of something that happened with a dad. And connected with his son. That where Steve
so
was
stinking cool. Yeah, Josh was psyched about this, and it was really neat. It was it's I can't remember. He's 8 years old or something like that. Is his son Roman Gill. He's not really connecting with his dad. His dad's really trying his hardest to really connect with his son. But they found the podcast and the kid loves it. And so now it's like almost a weekly tradition for them to sit down and listen to it together and laugh together.
Yeah.
And so it's like that moment. It's like that's what it's about. It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
So it's like we know comedy, we make these jokes, and it seems so pointless. But I still remember laughing with people in elementary school because of a joke I said or a joke that they said. And it's like it implants you in your brain. So to have that impact on a relationship with a kid and parent we're never going to meet probably is really, really neat.
That's super awesome.
Hey, Andy, thanks so much for joining us on the podcast. We'll try to make sure that we get Kelsey on here and maybe Josh.
Yeah,
if
that would be great.
If you could help him be funny enough, that'd be great.
Yes. Thanks for having me, guys.
Close us out,
Love
Josh.
you.
Yeah, no, this has been Stacking Chairs, guys. Thanks so much. As always, check us out on Stacking Chairs Pod everywhere. stackingchairspod@wol.org. Email us your ideas, your questions, anything. We'd love to talk to you all. Andy, thanks so much for being on the show.
Love you
been
guys.
Fantastic. Check out Ninjas Are Butterflies, Sunday Cool, and Youth Ministry. Guys, we have an exciting announcement coming up in a couple weeks about a new initiative that we're going to be doing with you all, so stay tuned for that as well.
Make sure you like and subscribe and share and comment, but most importantly, stack those chairs!